Joe, I had an opportunity to be speaking to a group of therapists last week about the parent perspective of what it's like having a child that's on the autism spectrum. And you spoke up towards the end of the meeting and said that you are on the autism spectrum and that you are a therapist working with kids on the autism spectrum. And I was so excited that we couldn't wait to get you on the show. That doesn't mean that I put it on the calendar, but we were excited to have you on the show. So thrilled to have you here. And I want to start by asking you when you were diagnosed.
I was diagnosed as an undergrad. I was 20 at the time.
And
Yeah.
so did you go searching for a diagnosis, or how did that happen that you got the diagnosis?
Well, I went to Sam Houston State University. It's a very small university, but it has the best teacher education prep program in the state of Texas. And so I was going for my teaching degree. And my math professor, I had her 3 semesters in a row, and math had always been very, very difficult for me. And she called me into her office one day and she said, you know, your scores really don't reflect what I know you're capable intellectually of doing. I think you might have a learning disability. And that made a lot of sense to me. And
So was that a relief then, Joe, to hear that? Or,
yeah.
I think a lot of people would think, oh no.
No, I was over the moon happy.
Wonderful to hear that. I think people need to hear that. But why? Why did that make you over the moon happy?
Because not my whole educational career, but since 3rd grade, when we started doing multiplication, I struggled with math. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get it. But in 3rd grade, I was reading at a college level. I had won a contest for a short story that was the whole state of Texas. I forget what it was called, Young Writers Conference or something like that. My math scores, my history scores, all A's, and then I'm pulling C's in math. And I didn't know why. And I don't know if educationally I fell through the cracks or because all my other scores were so good and, they just never had me tested. And so I just thought I was dumb. I just thought I was one of those people who was stupid at math and was never going to get it. And all through middle school and high school, I scraped by with C's in math, all A's in all my other classes. But even adding was difficult for me. I still count on my fingers when I add.
And what's interesting to me about that is here you are clearly brilliant in so many other areas, winning awards for your writing, and one subject is difficult, but that equated to you being unintelligent, and that just makes me want to hug you. But so here's my next question for you, Joe. So she's saying, okay, you're not so good at math. Maybe that's a learning disability. How did you get from there to autism spectrum disorder?
Well, I was having a hard time adjusting to college. I had never lived away from my parents. I had undiagnosed anxiety and depression. So I went to the counseling center on campus. And I had a very wonderful lady, her name was Jerry, who worked with me. And she said, it really looks from your portfolio, from your grades, that there is a learning disability there. And then she said, have you ever heard of something called Asperger's syndrome? And I said, yeah, it's a kind of autism. And I kind of laughed, and she asked me why, and I said, well, my best friend mentioned Asperger's syndrome to me not long before I left to go to Sam, and she told me, this sounds a lot like you. And I kind of laughed it off and said, somebody would have noticed by now. Somebody would have.
Which is what a lot of people say. They're like, oh no, if you didn't get that diagnosis by, and it's some arbitrary date, like 6 years and 2 months, then, well, somebody would have said something.
Right.
When in fact,
and the
that's
thing
not
about
the case.
Asperger's was, it wasn't even a diagnosis in the U.S. until 1994, and I was already 10 years old by then.